Welcome to the exit sequence, the gates. Up until now, this journey has been about seeing through the illusion. The gates are about what comes next. Each gate represents a choice, a place where awareness becomes action, where insight becomes embodiment, and where sovereignty becomes more than an idea. Politics, money, health, media, and personal responsibility converge here. The question is no longer whether you can see the system. The question is whether you're willing to stop feeding it. Gate 1. Escaping the theater of control. Politics is not governance, it's theater. A carefully staged production meant to simulate debate, dramatize dissent, and disguise the machinery of control. What you've been sold as democracy is managed conflict, scripted talking points, scandal cycles, choreographed opposition. You're not watching leadership in action. You're watching actors in a rigged audition, vying for continued relevance in a game where the rules are hidden and the winners are pre-selected. While the public is baited into partisan brawls, the real deals are made in private. Laws are passed unread. Lobbyists roam unchecked. Politicians grow rich off insider trades while tightening the grip on the people they claim to serve. If this system were truly about representation or service, we wouldn't need to imagine basic reforms, such as equal public funding for campaigns, no corporate donations, jail time for lobbying bribes and insider trading, readable legislation, no bloated, unreadable bills, performance-based audits for Congress, penalties for lying to the public, and lifetime bans on jumping from office to defense contractor, and much more. Yet none of it exists. It's not for lack of ideas, it's by design. This isn't a broken system, it's a parasitic one, built not to serve you, but to extract from you your labor, your attention, your allegiance. The political class is a revolving mask. The hand behind it rarely changes. Until you see that clearly, not emotionally, but structurally, you remain trapped in their game. Once the illusion crumbles, something vital shifts. You stop begging to be heard in a rigged arena. You reclaim your agency from the theater. Two wings of the same bird. We've been conditioned to pick sides, red versus blue, left versus right. Instead, step back far enough, and the illusion of opposition collapses. These sides are funded by the same donors, advised by the same consultants, and kept in line by the same gatekeepers and funders. For much of modern history, the United States has not operated as a free republic, but as a corporate construct, managed by unelected entities and entrenched bureaucracies. Elections provided a sense of control, but the outcomes have rarely shifted the deeper trajectory. Wars are bipartisan. Surveillance is bipartisan. Bailouts, censorship, and global entanglements, all bipartisan. Then came a fracture. A figure emerged who didn't speak the right language, didn't need their money, didn't follow the script. He disrupted the narrative. The backlash has been swift. Media hysteria, coordinated investigations, institutional revolt. Not because he was flawless, not because he was pure. It was because he was unowned. Is he a savior? A decoy? A disruptor with unknown motives? Time will tell. Regardless, something has changed. The script has cracked. The machinery is now exposed. Millions are beginning to see the stage for what it is. That alone is a turning point because once you glimpse the strings, you stop worshiping the puppets. At our core, most people want the same things: clean food, good health, safe communities, freedom to speak, and dominion over our lives. These are not political ideals, they're human ones. They are dangerous to the parasite class, which thrives on our division. Manufactured scandal. In a system this fortified, genuine autonomy is treated like a virus. Politicians who step out of line are rarely debated. They're discredited, entrapped, or erased. If a headline-friendly scandal doesn't surface, one will be fabricated. If that fails, the person might vanish, silenced by suicide, accident, or family tragedy. This is not paranoia, it's precedent. Whistleblowers are jailed. True journalists disappear. Reformers find themselves under investigation overnight. These tactics aren't new. They're standard operating procedure of power structures built to protect themselves. Most so-called leaders aren't governing, they're enforcing. They answer not to you, but to donors, corporations, NGOs, and the unelected operators shaping your reality without consent. The higher the role, the tighter the leash. When we say governors, we don't mean presidents or senators necessarily. We mean the whole latticework: royal dynasties, banking families, energy regulators, media figureheads, foundation elites, and public health czars. Any node of control that shapes your environment without transparency belongs to this architecture. This isn't about left or right. It's about ownership. Most of those in power are bought, blackmailed, or bound by compromise. This compromise only works as long as people keep believing the story. The illusion collapses. What we're witnessing now, especially in the wake of global exposure and digital transparency, is not democracy in action. It's the unraveling of a long-running production. The public is beginning to see the wires, the sound bites are failing, the patterns are repeating. The cast of characters can no longer hold the illusion together. Because real leadership is no longer rising from institutions. It's emerging from the edges, from the disobedient, from the truth-tellers and whistleblowers, the healers and the hackers, the ones who cannot be bought or banned. They've been called extremists, conspiracy theorists, traitors. Now, look again. These are the ones refusing to kneel to a system that was never designed to serve you. With every new crack in the facade, more people awaken, not to chaos, but to clarity. The revolution isn't televised, and it doesn't require violence. It begins when you stop playing your part in their illusion. This is where freedom begins. The media, weaponized perception. If you still believe you're making up your own mind after watching the news, it's time to pause. Today's media is the ministry of narrative, a consolidated, corporate-controlled information web designed to seed confusion, manufacture consent, and reinforce the worldview most beneficial to those in power. What once claimed to serve the public is now a psychological control grid. As of 2018, 6 media conglomerates controlled most of what you see, read, and hear globally. That's across television, publishing, digital content, film, video games, and more. Since then, the grip has deepened. Tech giants like Google, Meta, and Amazon overtook the old gatekeepers, embedding censorship algorithms into every scroll, swipe, and search. Now, those algorithms are being superseded by something even more insidious: artificially intelligent systems marketed as neutral arbiters of truth. That said, AI is not neutral. It pushes the blind spots, biases, and agendas of its creators with the illusion of objectivity. Unlike traditional media, which wore its bias on its sleeve, AI cloaks its influence in the language of research, optimization, and efficiency. It doesn't just steer your search results, it rewrites the frame of the question. In doing so, it becomes the next phase of informational control, invisible, unaccountable, and mistaken for omniscience. This is not just about news. It's about the digital environment that shapes your sense of reality. The entities are not neutral. They are tied to think tanks like the Council on Foreign Relations, home to global policymakers, intelligence veterans, and unelected influencers. They feed both political parties. They shape both sides of every debate. They create the illusion of difference while maintaining control of the entire spectrum. Propaganda is no longer a wartime relic. It's policy. In 2012, the U.S. repealed the Smith-Mundt Act, effectively legalizing the use of state-sponsored psychological operations on the domestic population. Since then, fact-checkers have replaced investigation, dissent has been rebranded as extremism, and the digital town square has become a surveillance trap. Currently, efforts are underway by the administration to reinstate the Act's original protections, though whether this signals genuine reform or narrative control by another name remains to be seen. Whether it's CNN or Fox, MSNBC, or YouTube, if your source is funded by the same hands that steer global policy, you are not seeing the truth. You're seeing what's permitted or what has been staged. The media is the battlefield. The war is for your perception. The threat isn't only misinformation, it's also omission. It's the buried search result, the imperfect AI response, the deleted account, the invisible algorithm that decides what never reaches you. Most don't realize it's happening. They repeat slogans they didn't write, enforce taboos they didn't question, and cheer for wars they never agreed to or truly understand. Yet, this is the line where rebellion begins. Not with violence, instead with discernment. When you unplug from the screen, when you cross-reference, when you pause before reacting, something radical happens. You reclaim your territorial integrity. You begin to see not just what you were shown, but what was hidden. Breaking the spell. We are no longer in the age of perfect secrecy. Cracks have formed in the narrative. New whistleblowers are emerging. Classified files are leaking. Testimonies are surfacing. No longer fringe, but vindicated. Disclosure does not arrive with fanfare. It drips, it fragments, it comes half-coded, wrapped in paradox. Because the full truth would rupture too many illusions at once, and the system knows it. Even in its unraveling, the machine still tries to steer the story. This is where your discernment becomes your compass. Not everything revealed is trustworthy. Not every alternative voice is clean. Your task is not to react, but to see. Ask, who benefits from this narrative? Who funds this platform? Who gains from my fear, my hope, my outrage? Learn to hold paradox, question without spiraling, seek truth without certainty, feel what resonates, not in the mind, but in the deeper body where clarity lives, because the truth is rising. It's messy, it's raw, it will not be handed to you, you must walk toward it. With courage, with vision, with the refusal to play along. The spell is breaking. Those who dare to see beyond the veil are building what comes next. Toolkit. Awareness is your first weapon, but awareness without method leaves you vulnerable to the same scripts that have always run the show. If you want to step out of the theater, you need to strip away the illusions and take control of your own stage. Number 1, spot the script. Make a mental note of headlines, slogans, and repeated talking points you encounter in media, politics, and advertising. Make sure to ask yourself as each one pops up, who benefits if I believe this? Number 2, decode the set pieces. When a stage crisis appears, complete with symbols, dramatic footage, and celebrity endorsements, pause before reacting. Ask questions. Is this manufactured urgency? Is this narrative suspiciously neat? What's missing from the story? Number 3, audit your inputs. Identify 5 or more of your top sources of information. Cut at least 2 that fail your trust test. Replace them with independent journalists, primary documents, and direct observation. Number 4, build your own signal. Create a small network. Friends, family, colleagues who exchange vetted information. Rotate who researches so no one burns out. Number 5, practice strategic withdrawal. Learn to exit the performance without fanfare. That might mean disengaging from certain conversations, unfollowing emotional triggers, or refusing to give attention to bad actors. Thank you for listening to this excerpt.